Lock in America! It's time for Straight Talk! This is the Wayne Dupree Podcast, hosted by Wayne Dupree, with co-host Jason Robertson, delivering powerful opinions, arty debates on politics, entertainment, and the hottest stories. No spin, just honest takes and real conversation! The Wayne Dupree Podcast is lit! Let's get into it right now.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. My name is Wayne Dupree, and we are here on the Dupree Report. It is Tuesday, June 30th, 2026. Happy to be here with each and every one of you. And we are live here. I call it Red Voice Media Network. RVM News. Don't forget to check out rvmnews.com. Also, make sure, let's see. Oh man. Make sure you are
something not working.
Yeah, I got another what is it called? Jason Robinson from Minnesota. What's up, Jason?
Hey folks, happy Tuesday. Welcome to the Wayne Dupree or the Dupree Report. I'm your co-host Jason Robertson. Glad to spend a little time with y'all today, talking a little Supreme Court, talking a little turns out you can be a citizen if you're born anywhere around the United States. That's kind of handy, kind of new. We'll give our analysis of that. But as we get going, do us a favor, hit the like, hit the comment, hit the share button. It helps the show get reach. And Wayne, what are you struggling with?
Jason, tell everybody about the big old steak that you that big old brontosaurus steak that you put on my timeline this morning, or my thing this morning.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So for those who don't know, today is pot roast day in the Robertson household. We went to the butcher shop, got a nice big pot roast. My wife makes a hell of a pot roast. So then this morning I was up early and I'm like, well, I'll help her out. She always makes dinner. I'll get the onions and mushrooms and all that stuff cut up. So when she comes downstairs, she starts working like 6. So she comes down at 5:30. I got the pot roast. I got the onions, the mushrooms. And then I got to take a picture and text it to my friend Wayne Dupree, because I thought, who would enjoy a delicious looking pot roast at 5 in the morning, 6 in the morning, more than Wayne Dupree? So, and it's like 1,000 degrees outside here. So yesterday it was so hot. I'm Googling, can we take the dogs to the dog park? And they're like, well, when it's that hot, like A, they'll get heat stroke. B, you could burn their paws on the path. And so they're like, yeah, don't. So we're like, well, we can't really stand outside grilling, and nobody wants to cook in the house, but you can crock pot even when it's 1,000.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So pot roast in the crock pot, throw it in about 6 a.m.
Yep.
Let her cook for about 8 to 10 hours. So by 4 o'clock, we're ready for dinner. Oh, yeah. We're going to have delicious pot roast.
That's what I do. As a matter of fact, this morning I called Lisa and I was like, get some beef stew chunks, put them in the crock pot slow cooker, beef stew chunks. Get about a couple pounds of it. Cut your onions up, get yourself some Montreal steak seasoning, liberally seasoned Montreal steak seasoning, and then get about a couple cans of cream of mushroom soup and some beef broth.
Oh, yeah.
Mix that up, then pour it on top. 4 hours on high, 8 hours on low. You got the best beef and gravy for rice or mashed potatoes. Just that quick.
Man, who else is hungry today?
But okay. NewsGuard is a piece of work.
Did you get a news guard?
Well, they got back with me because I did everything that they wanted me to do. I made all the corrections and did all that stuff. And then they contacted me this morning. It was like, because as I said, remember that the show goes from Rumble to
your
website.
Yeah.
But I can't, but it doesn't, the edit page is not on the website. It pulls everything from Rumble, right? But if you go and make some changes on Rumble, it doesn't populate back on the website.
Oh, right. Yeah, because it only feeds once.
Right. So it's like they say, okay, so they might have something to do with the rating since you can't fix that. Let's see. Mr. Dupree, one last question. Are the corrections you made visible on the podcast pages posted to the Dupree Report or just a corrections log? I let her know that it was on the corrections log, but it's also on Rumble. But I can't make the changes on the pages that are on the website. So then she says, got it. I believe that would matter for the rating, but we'll check with my editors.
Oh, what a scam.
And this Miranda Wolin, have you ever heard of her before?
No. NewsGuard changes over staff fairly regularly. Yeah. We hear from somebody every few months, like, oh, what about this? And then we're like, yeah, no, here's the...
It's like, even though I made the changes, even though it's in the correction log, even though the information has been changed on the Rumble page, you're still going to dock me. All right, Augusta Precious Matter. You want to hear something the Supreme Court can't rule on? Your savings. That's right. The court hands down decisions. Washington keeps spending. The debt clock keeps running, and not one of those 9 justices is looking out for your retirement. That part is on you. Said it all before. And we don't really put anything in front of the audience that we don't believe in, our opinions included. So Augusta Precious Metals, A+ with the Better Business Bureau rating, and a AAA with the Business Consumer Alliance, 4.9 out of 5 across thousands and thousands of reviews. Gold and silver have done one thing through every administration, every Supreme Court, every Congress, every spending bill. They've held their value when the dollar didn't. If you want to protect what you have, go to waynesgold.com. That's waynesgold.com, or text Wayne to 35052, and they will walk you through it. No pressure, no hard sell. Protect your savings and make up your own mind. Again, waynesgold.com, or text Wayne to 35052. As Jason was talking about, actually, we'll get to birthright citizenship in just a few minutes. There was another the trans athlete thing came down.
Hey, we got that one.
According to the Supreme Court, according to today's decision, the Supreme Court ruled that states may ban transgender girls, transmissioners, from competing on girls' sports teams at publicly funded schools. Justice Kavanaugh, who had coached girls basketball for years, wrote the majority opinion. Now, according to the ruling, here's the part that gets lost. On the Title IX question, whether that federal anti-discrimination law requires states to let trans girls play, all 9 justices said no, at least at this stage. Even the 3 liberal justices concurred in that part on the judgment. Now, according to the decision, it was a 6-3 split that came on the bigger question whether banning trans athletes violates the 14th Amendment's Equal Protection Clause. The court divided along its usual conservative liberal lines, clearing the way for states to enforce bans. Wait.
Yeah. It
So
wasn't as big a win as what we said.
So
What the
basically,
Supreme
they threw
Court,
it back to the states.
yeah, what the Supreme Court said, your state can make a decision that says trans can be in sports.
Oh, man.
And you can get sued for that too, by the way. They didn't rule on that. But they also said your state can pass a law that says you can ban trans from competing in the opposite sport. So every state out there, if they pass a law that says biological men can't compete in women's sports or biological women can't compete in men's sports, that is legal. But like I say, they didn't rule more widely on our trans ban from sports. I know a lot of people are out there, throwing out the clickbait going, oh, they banned it. No, well, they didn't ban it. They just, it's kind of like Roe versus Wade, where they threw it back to the states.
So, and if many of you don't know that much about sports, if one state is using, that's going to cause a whole lot of confusion. A whole lot of problems, because if one state, if Minnesota is playing, I'll throw out Maryland, and Maryland is okay with trans athletes, and Minnesota isn't okay with trans athletes, then that means that Maryland's trans athletes can't compete in Minnesota, I guess, right? I guess.
Yeah, you're getting into technicalities, but directionally, yeah.
So,
yeah, I mean, it says in Maryland you can have trans in women's sports, and in Minnesota you can ban it.
Now, how about this? I saw the word privately, right? Or
but they said publicly.
Public. So that means private schools can do whatever they want.
Yeah, and they always could, pretty much.
Okay. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen.
What'll be interesting is if they hear a case that a woman, because right now what they ruled on is it's not illegal to have a law that says men can't compete against women, biological men, biological women. But I'm waiting for them to hear the case where a woman says, my state allows trans in sports, and that is a violation of my Title IX rights. And then that would be a different ruling. So they've ruled that you can ban trans from sports. They haven't ruled on the broader issue of, is it discriminating against women to let biological men compete?
And I mean, honestly, if everybody listening to this or watching this now and listen to it later, or you're passing it off to somebody, y'all know deep down in your heart that it's wrong.
Right.
It's wrong. It's not fair. Especially in all sports, really. But like when you get into real physical sports like boxing and wrestling and different things like that, you don't want no souped up.
You don't want some dude wailing on your
daughter.
Right.
You don't want it. And I think this goes across. I don't think there's any lines of liberal and conservative when it comes to this. You do have some screwed up parents, yes. But I don't believe that every liberal parent out there wants their daughter to fight some dude.
No.
you know, and I mean, I would have thought maybe because in the way that I was looking at it, I guess I didn't look at it really near. I thought they just stopped the whole thing, just like you said. I just thought they stopped the whole thing, but maybe this is the era of the screwed up Supreme Court, because yesterday they ruled for Trump could fire independent people and then left the independent federal justice.
Trump can fire people, but not this people.
Yeah. And they did the same. Now they're doing the same thing to the ban thing. Well,
right.
Well, yeah, but, it's that but, type of thing, So I don't know, man. I mean, everybody was saying, I was going to call him Thurman Thomas. Clarence Thomas was up on the Hill yesterday, and he wasn't letting anybody know why he was up there. And at first I was like, I wonder if this is gonna. I wonder if that SCOTUS thing is gonna come down in the favor, for him to be up there,
No.
But, yeah. So, with that said, birthright citizenship. President Trump won't be happy today, but I'm going to give you this, and then I'm going to say something about it. All right. According to the Supreme Court's own opinion, Trump versus Barbara, released this morning, the court struck down the president's executive order. That's why I'm going to come back to this. Ending birthright citizenship by a vote of 6-3. According to the slip opinion, Chief Justice Roberts wrote the majority, and the lineup is the headline buster. He was joined by 3 liberal justices, Sotomayor, Kagan, and Jackson, plus
Amy Coney Barrett. Who could have seen this coming?
And
wow. Kavanaugh, kinda. We'll talk about Kavanaugh.
Like I said yesterday, Roberts wrote, was the right to have rights. Quote, was the right to have rights. According to the opinion, here's the split most outlets are glossing over. It was 6-3, but the outcome was 5-4 on the Constitution. Justice Kavanaugh agreed that the order was unlawful, but on the grounds that it broke federal statutes Congress passed in 1940 and 1952, not necessarily the 14th Amendment itself. In his view, Congress could limit, and that's where I was going, Congress could limit birthright citizenship by statute. It just hasn't. So the president couldn't do it alone. See, I got more. I'm going to throw it to you in just a second. President Trump, as a businessman, in his first term, when he became president, he kept talking about how Congress moved too slow. Mitch McConnell was like, well, he has to learn how things go up here. That's what Mitch McConnell said in the first term. President Trump was like, wait a minute. In the second term, let me do this executive order because they ain't doing nothing.
Yep.
They're not doing nothing. They talk a good game. And this trans thing didn't just start when President Trump got in office. This trans thing it didn't start under Biden. It just got worse because everybody was coming out in the swim team, on the wrestling team, on the boxing team. Men was not, these things were knocking women out in the ring and stuff and that. In those 4 years, so President Trump was, okay, guess what? I think he knew, seriously, that this wasn't going to go through on the Supreme Court. I think he knew it. I think there might have been a chance if they used the slave thing or whatnot, but Congress, if anybody knows that they aren't doing their job, at least the Wayne Dupree, the Dupree Report audience should know that Congress is not doing their job. Everybody else is going around saying, oh, well, the Supreme Court. But Congress, that's Congress's job. Okay? Actually, it shouldn't even be their job. It should be the states, honestly. But if they want to do it on a federal level, okay, fine. Congress should be doing this. Congress should, the abortion thing, the transgender thing, the thing that we were just talking about. Congress should be doing this, but they're not going to do it because they don't want to do it. Because if they clean up everything, if they take care of everything that everybody's been clamoring about and whining about and protesting about and stuff, they ain't gonna have no job. So they got to leave stuff out there. And I bet you dollars to donuts, many of them knew that it wasn't going to work. I bet you. I bet you they knew it, and nobody came and said, well, really, that's basically the only thing that Congress is bullish about and will say anything about, and I'm talking about the House of Representatives, the only thing that they will put their foot down on is we control the purse strings. Nothing else. We control the purse strings. Appropriations is us. That's our job. But everything else is, hey, Jason, we got a party on Andrew Johnson Street on L Street on Friday night. You and the missus coming? Don't forget to bring that pipe of yours. Congress should be doing this, and they're not. I guess something else this also tells you is this. Even though the Supreme Court has come back and basically gave the office of the president a lot more reaching power on certain things, and you ain't seen nothing yet. I'm here to tell you, you ain't seen nothing yet, because the people that come after Trump are going to be worse. They got a whole lot of power to do a whole lot of stuff because the Supreme Court gave it to them, and they are going to look toward that. But the only what was I saying?
Wayne's all fired up.
I am fired up because Congress should have did this a long time ago. Congress should have put it out there. Congress should have jumped on the birthright. Congress should have jumped on the birthright just as soon as the Reagan thing came in. They should have been on it. Just as soon as those Democrats lied to Reagan. I know you blame Reagan, but just as soon as those Democrats lied to Reagan and so, we give it to you, but we give you anything you want. Just go ahead and let these 13 million, right? It's always that number. Is it 13 million or 11 million?
They said 11, 13 million for 30 years.
30 years, 13 million a year. Okay. So we'll get that to you. Congress should have turned around, or the next Republican majority, Congress, Newt Gingrich and his people, when they had the Contract of America, they should have did something with it. But Jason will tell you, Congress ain't trying to do no. Go ahead, Jason. I need to drink some coffee.
SplitRockCoffee.com, promo code Wayne. All right, I'm going to start my analysis of this description. I pulled the official transcript of the Senate, May 30th, 1866. Senator Jacob Howard, who introduced the 14th Amendment. And this is the transcript. It's available. They're talking about Reconstruction. This amendment, which I have offered, is simply declaratory of what I regard as law of the land already, that every person born within the limits of the United States and subject to their jurisdiction is by virtue of natural law and national law a U.S. citizen. So that's where the left stops reading. The further sentence goes, this will not, of course, include persons born in the United States who are foreigners, aliens, belong to the families of ambassadors, foreign ministers, according to the government of the United States, but will still include every other class persons. It settles the debate, a question of citizen, removes all doubt. So right in the description, this is from the Senate thing. He says, yeah, this doesn't include aliens or people who are here. And it was just designed to address slaves. That is when the 14th Amendment was introduced. So what did the Supreme Court rule? Depending on how you look at it, it was either 6-3 or 5-4. Some people are reporting it 6-3. Some are saying 5-4. The difference is Kavanaugh said, so the three liberals said, yep, birthright citizenship, 100% guaranteed. That's the language. Roberts and Coney Barrett went with them saying, yep, if you're born on American soil, you're a citizen. Kavanaugh took and then you had the other three, you had Thomas and Alito, who said, subject to the jurisdiction of doesn't include birthright or birthright tourists, illegals who aren't here, as evidenced by Thomas's dissent was 91 pages, by the way. Which
they said this was the biggest. They said this was the biggest one they've ever seen.
Yeah, and essentially boiling down his argument, he agrees with most of us and what the senator who introduced the 14th Amendment said, which is, yeah, no, people who we've accepted here are like, if you're here on a visa, you don't get to birth an American citizen. And he went 91 pages through all kinds of examples. Great read. I'm about halfway through it. Kavanaugh took kind of a middle position where Kavanaugh said, yeah, Trump can't do this via executive order, but I don't disagree with his interpretation of the 14th Amendment. However, when they passed the 14th Amendment in the 1860s, whenever it was, then there was a Supreme Court case in the 1890s, the Kim Wong Arc, that was about a Chinese guy who was here building the railroad. And then they used that language subject to the jurisdiction of in a couple immigration laws in like the 30s and the 50s. So the Supreme Court right now on a 5-4 ruling determines subject to the jurisdiction of, meaning you're in the country. Now, the good news is if we swap out one justice, you get rid of Roberts, you get a new justice, Amy Coney Barrett, one of the liberals, and you put one in who agrees that subject to the jurisdiction of doesn't include illegals, you could have this decision overturned because the 3 or 4 were like, yeah, subject to the jurisdiction of doesn't just mean you're physically in the country. So there's hope for that. But they also all agreed that Congress can specify what the definition of subject to the jurisdiction of. But what I like about Trump, at the end of the day, Trump did something amazing here because nobody was talking about birthright citizenship really to much of any extent. And he has shifted that where that's going to be this generation's Roe versus Wade, where there's going to be a ton of polarizing stuff. Congress could solve it at any time, just defining what that means. They're not going to.
They're not going to.
Eventually, if you get a more conservative Supreme Court, they will more closely define subject to the jurisdiction of based on what was discussed at the time the amendment was passed, not what happened by subsequent Supreme Court decisions. So, yeah, but I think most of our audience, there was a couple of people that thought it would go Trump's way. Most of the audience thought it wasn't going to go. Wayne and I thought it wasn't going to go. But either way, like what Trump did was pretty ballsy because he has brought something to the table that everybody's discussing. And even like normies who don't follow politics are like, wait a second, some illegal becomes a citizen. And like, they never even thought about it. And it's kind of like trannies in sports. Like all this stuff was happening and people just didn't talk about it. And, your normal Americans are going to be like, well, that's stupid. So.
Yeah. I mean, well, one of the main reasons why, and again, you go back to Congress, but one of the main reasons why I didn't think it was going to go is because of Barrett and Roberts.
Right. Well, Barrett was a McConnell pick, Mitch McConnell, and the litmus test for Coney Barrett was, is she going to rule correctly on Roe versus Wade? And like I say, Roe versus Wade was an incorrectly decided court case. It wasn't even about abortion. Roe versus Wade read abortion into the Constitution where it wasn't there. And what Roe versus Wade decision is no, go back to the states. And to be honest, it was kind of a loss for conservatives because states have enacted more liberal abortion policies in many states. More babies are getting killed from abortion once we overturned Roe versus Wade, but it was important to get it overturned.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yesterday when we were talking about it, Kavanaugh, to me, wasn't a surprise. That's why I mentioned him. I thought in my mind, but I didn't say it. So I wasn't going to go 7-2, but I don't know. I don't think Barrett is from now on. Who is the independent on Supreme, or supposed to be independent on Supreme Court?
None of them.
No, right. But is one is always a swing vote.
Well, the three conservatives generally always go one way, the three liberals go the other, and your three swing votes are Coney Barrett, Roberts, and Kavanaugh.
But there's another conservative one that people
sometimes Gorsuch will get a little squirrely, or
Gorsuch, yeah,
Alito. Clarence Thomas, like I wish we could just make him emperor. Him and Stephen Miller as president, as emperor and vice emperor.
Yeah. What's the other one? Alito, yeah.
Alito's usually pretty solid. But Gorsuch is who you're thinking of. Every now and then he gets
Alito.
Could be Alito.
Yeah, because Alito sometimes votes with the liberals, I think.
Yeah, I mean, what's interesting, though, is even in Gorsuch's dissent, if you read through that, like part of his analysis says that he would deny birthright citizenship to children of temporary visitors, but not illegal immigrants who live here permanently. So, like, Gorsuch gets a little squirrely. And really what he's saying is, like, this is why mass deportations are important. This is why illegal shouldn't be here. Gorsuch in his dissent essentially says, if you're going to let them here, yeah, they get to be citizens, so you need to send them home. So,
yeah,
mass deportations.
Thomas Gorsuch says Supreme Court should revisit landmark libel ruling. You know what that's about?
I'm not sure.
Justice Clarence Thomas renewed his calls for the Supreme Court to revisit its 1964 landmark decision that makes it difficult for public figures to bring defamation suits.
And they did rule too today on the campaign finance. Basically,
yeah, that's right. They did.
I don't know how I feel about it. They said that political parties can't be capped in how much they coordinate and give to the campaign. So,
yeah, according to today's decision in the National Republican Senatorial Committee versus FEC, the court struck down federal limits on how much a political party can spend in coordination with its own candidates. 6-3 again. Justice Kavanaugh wrote the opinion. Was that Kavanaugh and Coney Barrett again? Good Lord. According to the ruling, the court held the three caps violate the First Amendment's free speech protections, and in doing so overturned its own 2001 precedent, Colorado Republican 2, which had upheld those limits. According to the FEC, as reported by CBS, the caps being struck ran from roughly 65,000 up to 4 million, depending on the office. Congressional races at the low end, Senate races at the high end. According to the court's records, the challenge was filed back in 2022 by the National Republican Senatorial Committee. the National Republican Congressional Committee, and then Republican or Representative Steve Cabot, and then Senator J.D. Vance. He was then Senate candidate J.D. Vance, who is now the vice president. According to Kagan, nothing in the First Amendment mandates that outcome, as indeed this court has held before. According to the dueling statements today, Tim Scott and NRCC Chair Richard Hudson called it a decisive First Amendment victory, while the Democratic National Committee called it a win for billionaires and donors and special interests. Same ruling to Americans. Wait a minute.
All these are very complicated, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, wait a minute.
So speaking at a high level, the political party and the candidate. So if I give money to the Republicans and then they want to support President Trump, there's limits and rules on how much you can give, how much the Republican Party can give Trump. If I donate to Trump, I can only give a certain amount of money. What is unregulated is if you create a third-party NGO that supports President Trump and they just don't directly coordinate with him, but they put out pro-Trump stuff, that's legal. So what this ruling says is now I can just give money to the Republican Party, they can support Trump, or I can give money to the Democrat Party, they can support whatever candidate. Where it's become difficult is all this dark money. Like right now, Republicans are talking a lot about, oh, well, the Republicans have all this money. Yet Democrats just aren't funneling money through the Democrat Party. They're funneling it to non-government organizations, political action committees. So they've got a lot of money too.
Well, the Republicans have caught up, especially with Elon, because Elon is doing that with his super PAC. And then you got Miriam Anderson that is doing hers with hers. She's kind of mad at President Trump right now over the Israel thing, which we won't talk about for right now. But yeah, I mean,
no, if you look at the spending, Wayne, I think your math is wrong on that. I mean, the money that goes for Democrat supporting candidates, even now, far outpaces Republicans. It's not even particularly close. Like, look at the last election.
I would think now because they're trying to win the midterms, but there was a whole lot of money.
The Republican Party has a lot of money, but like look at Oxendorf's campaign, to use an example. Just look up how much money he's sitting on for his reelection in Georgia. He's sitting on a ton of money, and it's not reported in the Democrat thing. A lot of that money comes sneakily through Act Blue and other NGOs, that kind of thing.
Okay. I always thought they were both bad. I mean,
they are bad. I'm just saying that the amount of money that going to Democrat politicians far outstrips the amount going to Republicans.
Yeah.
And right now, I know it's popular to say, oh, the RNC has way more money on hand than the DNC, which is true. But if you look at how much money effectively is going to be spent on these races, it's not nearly as lopsided.
Wow. Okay. Okay. Well, I don't know if they really have any more big decisions left to go. I think. Hugh Hewitt. Wow. Hugh Hewitt just came out. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. NPR mistakenly reports Justice Alito is retiring.
That was incorrect.
Published in error. How do you do that? How do you accidentally, Karl Rove is saying that the Supreme Court, the campaign finance decision will strengthen democracy. So it looks like the GOP is happy with. Yeah. Well, actually, it was brought by the Republicans anyway. So yeah, Supreme Court sides with Republican challenge. You got it. President, like I said before, President Trump is really happy about the transgender athlete bans, as I would think any sensible human being should be sensible with like common sense, you know. But I won't beat that horse again.
The news guard's gonna come after you if you do.
Yeah, I gotta do some work when I get finished. I really didn't want to do no work. It's getting hot, by the way. As I said, tomorrow's supposed to be 100 here in the area. I thought it was supposed to start on Thursday and Friday, but no, it's supposed to start tomorrow. So make sure, like I said, if you're here in this area, it's going to get nasty. Well, I mean, it's going to get nasty everywhere, but it's going to be real nasty here in the DC area. It's real nasty. It's real nasty. And I got a question. Why? Anybody in the chat in DC right now? Is anybody saying anything? Let me see. Is anybody in DC? Is anybody watching the show from DC? The reason why I'm saying that is because there's a fair going on, and I would have thought that there've been a whole lot of MAGA supporters and stuff in Washington D.C. for the fair, and unless they're waiting until next week. They could be waiting until next week. You know, common sense is dead. Becky said common sense is dead. You got darn right is right. You got darn right, Becky. Yeah, but I mean, shoot, Jason, why aren't you in DC?
I ain't going there.
It's
safe. I may never make it there again in my life.
But it's safe though. It is
now.
It's safe.
I mean, I guess when I go there, might be when the 3rd Regiment of Minnesota is storming the Capitol to take over.
That's good. Yeah. Now, let's see. Lisa's at her pool.
Lisa's at her pool. Giddy up.
Yeah. She just. I think that's how blue the reflecting pool is supposed to be, Lisa.
Did you see the pro-algae protesters?
No.
Oh my God! So at the reflecting
in DC.
Pool. Yeah. You'll just have to look it up. Over the last week or two, there were literally not huge crowds, but like a number of people that were pro-algae, and they were protesting Trump cleaning out the reflecting pool.
Oh, gracious.
Yeah, I'm like,
you know what though? I mean, I'm wondering, and I think one of the main reasons why there's always algae there is because of the temperature, and it's a swamp. It's always going to be algae there. I mean, it's always going. It surprises me that it's not cleaned out regularly.
Right.
You know, that, I mean, every administration should be on top of that. Like what is happening right now. Honestly, I really don't think that it could. I mean, okay, if you want it blue, it'll be blue. I know on cloudy days it's not going to be blue. It's going to be gray because it's so long, it reflects what the sky is. I mean, there's nothing like a beautiful blue sky in Washington D.C. with a couple of clouds. Because when you look on that pool, if you've never been to that area around the Lincoln Memorial to see that reflecting pool, it's so long, but it looks so beautiful because of it reflects what the sky is doing. But if they just took care of it, and they just weren't taking care of it ever since, for some reason, they just don't take care of it. So I expect algae to be back. I do. I honestly, I really do. I expect algae to be back for centuries and centuries, or sooner or later it's going to dry up. But
Well, and if you look, it's kind of that left-wing ideology. I mean, if you look at what beautiful things we've built in the last 30, 40, 50 years, it's really not been much. We've spent a lot of time, we've had a lot of national discussion about destroying things that used to be great. Like General Lee's statue a few years ago, everybody wanted to take all those down everywhere. General Lee, even at the time, he was recognized as one of the greatest generals in history. And yet they wanted to take down and melt his statue, Christopher Columbus, all those folks. Coming out of the space race, we were doing really cool stuff in space. And instead, there was this huge movement like, oh, we don't want to. Well, why are we sending all these rockets up to space? Let's repurpose that money to social programs, which we did. And we expanded the welfare state instead of having us go to space and colonize Mars. And that's kind of what we're at with even like maintaining some of the beautiful infrastructure we built. I mean, all of DC, every American should agree, like that whole area down at the Capitol should be world class. Every president should want it that way. And does it cost money? Yeah, but
yeah, with all the money that they're sending overseas and stuff, they could have took care of. They could have. I mean, look. Everybody remember when they were wiping down the Statue of Liberty and stuff? Yeah, it took a couple years or whatnot, but guess what? They did it. It's maintenance, y'all.
Right.
I mean, and I'm sure that they have money for maintenance, unless it's like that lockbox that they just take the money out and move it to somewhere else, which they probably do. They probably do. So, and to see those people out there in the pool standing, cleaning and stuff, that don't take long. I mean, well, what I mean, it don't take long. It shouldn't take 3 and 4 months. You get those people out there, experts, taking care of that reflecting pool, taking care of the grounds, because they take wiping down. Because here's one thing: if they ain't doing that, if they ain't protecting the water, are they taking care of the statues? Are they wiping down the statues outside? Probably not. Probably not. I didn't even know that the Statue of Liberty was not gold. It was bronze, right? It was bronze. Yep. When I looked at it, it looked beautiful as bronze, and now it's all green and stuff because of the salt water. I know, but still, I was like, wow.
Who knew?
But it stood the test of time, though. They had to change the poles on the inside. I saw the video on it on Instagram. I thought it was kind of cool. But it's like, I guess what I'm saying is, if they want to do it, then they will. And the will to do it hasn't been there. They've been worried about starting wars in other countries or back in other countries and giving them billions and billions of dollars to fight Russia and China and all that mess, and building up arms and stuff. And yeah, okay, fine. Damn the roads, damn the bridges, damn the railroads. I mean,
well, it gets into that difficult discussion where the country's going with socialism, communism, all those sorts of things. Like, we all agree that we all need to contribute to build infrastructure in America. I don't think that's very controversial. We all agree that we should all contribute to having a fire department or a police department to provide safety, to enforce laws. Like, that's not controversial. Where it starts to get dicey is when we start giving social programs. A fire department is not the same as welfare. It's not. It's two completely different things. And
you mentioned Gorsuch earlier.
Yeah.
Somebody said it was kind of 7-2 instead of 6-3. Gorsuch said he would give citizenship to the children of people here illegally if they lived here permanently.
Correct.
But wouldn't give it to people who were here temporarily.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, here'll be the outcome.
For him too.
here will be the outcome of birthright citizenship in a right-wing government. You should see an increase in deportations of illegals. And you should see that happening more and more aggressively. The Haitians who just lost their temporary protected status, they should all go home. I mean, congratulations, you were here temporarily, time to go home. And it even gets further where people who come here legally, as soon as a woman's pregnant, she should deport. Like her visa should be revoked immediately and she should deport because she's not a citizen. Somebody shows up at the border pregnant, don't care, you aren't coming in. And, because that baby born would be a citizen, wait in Mexico, wait in whatever other country. I mean, I think if done properly, there are ways around, and it's just removing everybody that shouldn't be here and not letting people in who shouldn't. So, and you could even go so far as for all the doctors or welfare people or whatnot, if somebody is pregnant, like you need to notify ICE and have them deported. Congratulations, your visa is revoked. We're putting you on a plane, sending you home.
Yeah. Well, that's everybody is Matt Walsh brands Justice Barrett a DEI hire. Who hired her? Who hired her? I mean,
it was a bad promote by Trump.
And oh, that's what I was saying before. I don't know if you're ever going to get another conservative vote from her. I tell you why. State of the Union speech. Trump walked past her.
Yeah. Well, I think the thing
women don't like that.
But
women don't like that.
Here's the thing that when you look at the political parties, it's how do they vote when it matters, not when it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? And you see that in Congress where it's like, oh, so-and-so votes 90% for Republicans. Well, those are the 90% that are going to pass. That 10% where they need their vote is where it doesn't pass. Coney Barrett's much the same way. Same with Roberts. Like they are conservatives. They largely vote for or rule with the conservatives. But in those key times where it counts, they don't. And even Coney Barrett and Roberts, they could have just said, you know what, Trump can't just issue an executive order on this. And Congress, and they could have thrown that out and said Congress needs to get legislation passed that clarifies what they mean subject to the jurisdiction of. But they went the other way and they said, well, this is what we interpret. But they did open the door where Congress can change it. But good luck to that. Like Congress won't pass anything.
Yeah. All right, Jason, give me some last thoughts. Let's get ready to get out of here. I got work that I didn't want to do.
Are you doing NewsGuard today?
I got to fix this thing because I want to see what the rating is they're going to give me. And they've been kind of quiet. So.
I showed you ours. It was kind of interesting. But
when are they going to update that? Because that was from a couple years ago.
NewsGuard's kind of a scam. They contact you like out of the blue, and you don't hear from them for a long time. I think if you stay off their radar, like you leave them alone, they leave you alone. So
which I did, and then they contacted me this morning because I ain't gonna get no subscription. I ain't gonna, I'm not gonna pay them to find out what my score is. But
yeah, they send you your report. Have you got scooped up in the Facebook goofiness too?
Which one?
Well, so the AI is going through and demonetizing pages. So you don't have any strikes, you don't have anything going on, but they'll say, oh, you can't monetize because you violated a policy. And then you're like, well, what's a policy? Like, I don't have any strikes on my page. And they'll go, oh, well, I guess there isn't one. The AI just swiped you up. So, yeah.
They're going to fix that for you, right? They're going to fix that? They're going to fix that
if you get the right guy, yeah. But... yeah, we had a few pages get hit with that, and we've been battling now for 2 weeks, and it sounds like it was just a glitch of the AI, and so we're still fighting that battle. But what do we got for?
Wait a minute, hold on, wait. But I'm noticing that so many people are complaining about that creator program, or
Yeah.
they're complaining about a creator program, and then they're telling you how you can do whatever you can do, but that still ain't working. Or to a matter of degree, you still aren't getting the views again, unless you put up dog and cat pictures. I understand. You know.
Yeah, they've automated a lot of it through AI,
Yeah.
and then the AI is acting kind of weird, I guess is the best way I can describe it. So people have monetization shut down, and then people are getting strikes that weren't really strikes, and yeah, it's kind of a mess right now. That's why AI is still a while away from taking over the world. But let's go into final thoughts. Final thoughts. First of all, folks, thank you everybody for tuning in to the Dupree Report. We're here Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and 11 to 12 Central. We love hanging out with you guys. And as always, do us a favor, give us a like, give us a comment, give us a share, help show get reach. Second of all, for the Supreme Court, a lot of us want to be downers about the birthright citizenship thing. I'll give you glass half full. We're closer to flipping it than we've ever been. And the country has operated under this assumption for 150 years. 150 years, the 14th Amendment was interpreted that way. We are one Supreme Court justice away from it being ruled, in my opinion, correctly. Because if they would have ruled the other way, if Coney Barrett would have voted with Robert, or with the conservatives, with Thomas and Alito, birthright citizenship would have been ended. So there's a lot of work to do between here and there. Third thing, it's going to be hot in many parts of the country, as we mentioned yesterday. Drink lots of fluids, stay inside, don't get heat stroke. And as always, we will see you guys tomorrow.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. Want to thank everybody once again for taking time out of your busy schedule. Don't forget to check out Augusta Precious Metals. And look,
you need to get Wayne a wizard pipe.
I was telling somebody, what did I say about your wizard pipe?
The fact that you brought up my wizard pipe to somebody is disturbing.
I was talking. Well, no. So a friend of mine watched the show and they saw the pipe yesterday. They said, "What's up with the pipe?" I said, "Oh, he's Gandalf." And I said, honestly, that looks just like the pipe that Gandalf had in the movies. It looked just like it. Long too.
It's the official Lord of the Rings.
Oh, okay. No,
it really is the official pipe.
Right. Yeah. Can you put stuff in it? Can you really? Put
stuff?
Yeah.
You smoke out of this thing.
Get out of here!
Real functioning cherry wood pipe.
Get out of here! All right, Gandalf. You shall pass.